What's up guys, David1, 2 and 2, and today's another episode of Forbidden Combos in Yu-Gi-Oh! These are the combos in Yu-Gi-Oh! That got cards put on the ban list. And today's Forbidden Combo is the Wind-Up Loop. I know before I said I was going to go in chronological order of how these kind of happened throughout the history of the game, but the Wind-Up Loop is probably my all-time favorite, and getting back into the series, I want to do one that I actually want to do, so let's get started. Wind-Ups are an interesting deck from the early days of the XC era, with their artwork based off the classic wind-up tin toys of yesteryear. These toys have been around since the late 1400s, with such notable creators like Leonardo da Vinci making some of the first examples. However, these tended to be large mechanical works of art, only owned by the very wealthy, with more of an intent to capture the complexity of the living body than for play. Our deck in question takes most of its inspiration from later iterations of these figurines, made from around the late 1800s and early 1900s. By this point, such toys were more cheap to produce and available to a wider demographic, being marketed as toys more properly. These would remain a popular staple in toy chests everywhere until the 1960s, with the invention of the cheap alkaline battery in combination with tiny DC motors replacing the gears and clockwork in toys going forward. Premiering in Generation Force, the first XC set, Wind-Ups hit the ground running with decent opening support, but didn't reach its peak until the last set of support 2 sets later in Order of Chaos. Decent spamming ability and the option of playing rank 3s, 4s, and 5s, the deck had many tools at its disposal, but none more as potent as the play that became known as the Wind-Up Loop, a deadly play that leaves your opponent with only one card left in their opening hand. The loop itself consists of 3 main cards, with the rest of the deck acting as a means to set it up, but we will focus on the main 3 cards for simplicity's sake. First card in the combo is also the most important, which is ironic because it's the only one you run at 1, Wind-Up Hunter. This level 3 Dark Beast Warrior has 1600 attack, 500 defense with the following effect. You contribute 1 face-up wind-up monster except himself, send 1 random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard. This effect can only be used once while this card is face-up on the field. The 2 most important parts about this ability is that 1, it is the card that causes your opponent to discard, the whole point of the combo, and 2, it is only a soft once per turn, meaning if this card leaves the field and comes back, it can use its effect again. The second card in this combo is used to do exactly that, bring this thing back from the grave, Wind-Up Rat. Rat is a level 3 Earth Beast with 600 attack and defense, and has the following effect. During your main phase, you can target 1 wind-up monster in your graveyard, change this face-up attack position card you control to face-up defense position, and special summon that target in face-up defense position. Again, a soft once per turn, this effect can only be used once while this card is face-up on the field. With this ability, we can start to see how the loop is shaping up. Hunter tributes a card, knocks one out of your opponent's hand, and Rat gets Hunter back from the grave so it can use its discard ability again. However, Hunter can't tribute itself, and Rat only does this once, so there's one last part missing. The third card in this combo is also the only one currently banned in the TCG, Wind-Up Carrier Zamighty. This rank 3 XC monster is a water machine with 1500 attack and defense. Arguably one of the boss monsters of the deck, he is deceptively powerful despite his lackluster stats. His effect reads, once per turn you can detach 1 XC material from this card, special summon 1 wind-up monster from your hand or deck. When a face-up wind-up monster on the field is destroyed to the graveyard, except during damage step, you can detach 1 XC material from this card to target that monster and return it to the hand. His second ability to recur destroyed wind-ups is neat, but not the effect we actually care about. It's that first effect that puts the combo together. His materials are only 2 level 3 monsters, of which Rat and Hunter happen to be. Using a Rat to bring back Hunter from the grave, you can overlay 4 Zamighty, then detach the Hunter to summon another copy of Rat from the deck. You may now use the new Rat to bring back the Hunter, use his ability to sack the carrier, discard a card, and repeat. This is the essence of the loop, with every cycle reducing your opponent's hand count by 1. Some cards that help out with the setup of this play that we should probably mention would be Wind-Up Shark with his self-special summoning ability and level modulation, along with his best buddy Wind-Up Magician, who is actually currently semi-limited in the TCG despite not actually being part of the loop itself, and his ability to summon a Wind-Up from the deck a lot like Carrier can. Alright guys, here's a quick look at the deck profile. This is the one that Ryan sent me. He probably got this off of Lithium's channel, just for the record. But it does showcase how the deck would have been built at the time, and it has all the important parts in it. We got our 1 Wind-Up Hunter, which is the most important part of the combo because it actually does the whole point of the combo, as well as the Rat, which lets us kind of keep the field going and keep the combo going, and our Zamighty, which is the ban card at 3 in order to kind of be the whole glue that ties the whole thing together. And of course we have the aforementioned Wind-Up Magician, which kind of facilitates the setup, as well as your Wind-Up Shark. Quick note, I just want you guys to appreciate the spell and trap lineup in this thing and what our ban list used to look like, with a Heavy Storm, Pot of Avarice, Monster Reborn, 2 Bottomless Trap Hole, 2 Torrential Tribute, and the Solemn Judgment. Ugh. We're just going to ignore the 2 warning for now. So holy crap, This thing's got a powerful lineup of spells and traps. Without further ado, let's check out the replay. Alright, here is the replay that Ryan sent me when we were actually playing against Zodiacs in this deck because we want to show that we can mess around with the big boys. And obviously we got our wind-up Magician looping into a wind-up Magician, as well as our double Shark, which lets us get our Hunter out, as well as our first Zimides, which summons the Rat, which gets back the Hunter, which sacks the Zimides, which knocks a card, which makes the Zimide again, which gets the Rat, which gets back the Hunter, which sacks the Zimides, which knocks the card, make another Zimides, the third one this time I think, going into third Rat, getting your Hunter back, and going into two whatevers at this point, and our poor Zodiac player has now got, he doesn't really have very much. Now, if any deck was going to be able to come back from that kind of just absolute sacking, it would probably be Zodiacs because they can top deck pretty well, but it's not looking good. And top decking into that dimensional barrier was probably the worst thing that could ever happen to this poor guy. And we might as well do the old tour guide into Sangan back when that actually worked, but oh, I feel so bad. There was your intro to the loop, as well as a replay and deck profile for you guys to kind of get your heads around how it all used to work. This part of the video is where we actually talk about whether or not it's viable in the current meta. As we saw on the replay, we sacked Zodiac pretty hard. The combo is a little inconsistent, but more often than not, the deck at full strength can pull it off if it goes first. The biggest advantage is it only needs one extra deck zone because it only plays one Zimide at a time, so hey, yeah, I think we can actually play this under Link format if we got all three of our Zimides back. The biggest problem with the loop nowadays, though, is there are tons of cards that float in the grave. We're even getting traps now that are more and more often floating in the grave and doing things when they get there. So it's not quite as strong as it used to be just to knock all the cards out of your opponent's hand like that. However, in a rogue matchup against a deck that's not tier 1, or even like something like True Dracos, if it's the right hand that they have and you can do this going first, you could seal the deal pretty quick. Because it doesn't matter how good your deck is, starting off with one card is a severe disadvantage. So yeah, I think it would still be a pretty viable strategy nowadays. Can it come back? Well, a lot of people seem to think that Zimide coming back at 1 would be the best way to facilitate this deck being back at any kind of playability. With Zimide at 1, you could probably loop it 2 or 3 times, given you opened a Gofu, went into Decode Talker, and then used some of the superfluous resources that you make during the combo, like we saw in the replay, to make Emerald at some point during there to put the Zimides back in your extra deck and use it again. Something like that. That would diminish the amount of cards that you could knock out of your opponent's hand, making the move not quite as strong, but you'd be able to do it at least a little bit so the deck would retain its essence of play that it used to be able to do. I think it would be completely fair for Zimide to come back at 1. But for those of you who want to watch the world burn, sure, screw it, have Zimide come back at 3. We might start seeing ourselves in a dice roll format where Zodiac's True Draco variants will win if they go first, but if the windups get to go first, then it's probably a blowout. Or maybe not, who really knows? We have a lot of hand traps nowadays that could really disrupt this, so frankly, it might be anyone's game. But nonetheless, it would at least be very interesting to see this deck kind of take on the meta and see what it could do. Anyway guys, that was my wind-up loop episode. I really like the combo because it has an older school feel of Yu-Gi-Oh! Even though it's a late era of the game. Instead of just this whole build-a-board stuff that we have now and then challenge your opponent going second to break it, it's a different way of dealing with advantage. Instead of making a big stupid board, you make your opponent unable to break your board even if it's just a bunch of beat sticks. It doesn't really matter at that point. Overall, I like it. So anyway guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys think and what you guys want to do for the next episode. I'm thinking Frog FTK, but if there's another broken combo you want to do, sure, go for it. And remember guys, if you don't troll the meta, who will? I'll see you guys next time.
Wait just a moment. I can see you were about to click the subscribe button. Was I right? Tell me I was right. I was right? My Millennium Eye lets me see everything, including these other videos by Davy Boy. Don't be a stranger. You will always be welcome in my Toon World.